Coming up on Network Africa, the first of its kind West Africa Economic Summit begins in Abuja, Nigeria for economic integration and sustainable growth across the region. In Southern Africa, the third edition of the EU African SME Summit 2025 is underway in Johannesburg, South Africa. Plus, a court in Kenya detained police officers accused of shooting street vendor for 15 days following protests over popular blogger's death. Hello and welcome to the program today. It's the last edition for the week. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin here in Nigeria, where President Bola Tinubu has welcomed regional leaders, international investors and business executives to the capital, Abuja, for the inaugural West Africa Economic Summit. The summit is a premier regional event that unites leaders, policymakers, business stakeholders and the youth to drive economic integration and foster sustainable growth across West Africa region. The theme for the meeting is unlocking trade and investment opportunities in the region as it aims to foster dialogue, build partnerships and drive regional cooperation to position West African region as a globally competitive and unified economic bloc. President Tinubu describes the event as a pivotal step toward unlocking the region's vast economic potential through unity and strategic collaboration. The summit is holding at the newly renovated Abuja International Conference Center, starting today, June 20, till the 21st of June 2025. Well, joining us now for more on this is Ayobami Oyalowo. He's a political and development economist. Thank you for speaking to us on Network Africa. He joins us from our Abuja studios.
Thank you for having me. Good evening.
Good evening to you. Well, from a financial analyst's point of view, with the significance of this inaugural West Africa Summit in mind, what do the numbers tell us about why intra-West African trade volumes is so important?
Yeah, thank you very much. Clearly, if we look at our global trade volume, I have it written here, so you pardon that I will have to read it because it's a bit voluminous. Annually, our trade volume in West Africa is between 60 to 50 billion United States dollars, and just about 20% of trade between the region. And if you now go down, you realize that between this region and our biggest trade partner, which is the United Kingdom and the EU, the volume is about 40%, which is between 120 to 150 billion. Then if you go down further, you find out that we have some other trade partners in China, which is the fastest growing trade partner, about 35% of our exports. And then America, about 15%, which is about 40 to 60 billion. So if you look at these figures, clearly our trade volume is huge enough to substantiate and make this region a big economic bloc. However, we are not able to achieve that because there is no synergy. And if you look at our counterpart in Europe, the European Union, they have a common currency, they have a common border system, they have a common visa, so that I think they have it, they call it Schengen. One visa from one place takes even an outsider to all the subsisting country. So we need to remove this barrier because the numbers are huge. But what we are doing between ourselves is infinitesimal, just between 15 to 20%. We need to build up the volume, and that can only happen by strategic partnership, by synergy, and removing all manner of trade barriers, including, but not limited to, currency, trade, travel system, and transportation. We need to build on this, and this summit, for me, is a welcome idea, but we have to ensure that whatever agreement are reached, whatever MOUs are signed, there are systems in place to ensure that these agreements are permanently put in a system that can work We can have maybe a committee. I don't know how they want to do it, but we must have a regional integration, because right now the challenge we're having in this region is that we trade more with external bodies than within ourselves. And if we want to achieve the after agreement that we've had over all these years, a region must integrate before you can have the entire Africa. So if West Africa can have a common system, East Africa can have a common system, Central, then you can now dovetail that into the entire African continent. But for now, we are too fragmented, we are too divided, we are too strategic in the way we do business between ourselves and with external bodies.
Yeah, and one challenge to some of what you have just mentioned, is unrecorded trade and smuggling. And this seem to be the blur of the real picture of economic activity at our borders. Talking about, border trade relations now, how should policymakers and investors and stakeholders at this summit approach this challenge, especially when analyzing trade data?
Well, it has to be handled in a multifaceted way. While the economy people are sitting down and planning, the security must also be in place. I remember just about 2 or 3 days ago, the Chief of Defense Staff is complaining and talking about having porous borders and so on and so forth. So the volume of unrecorded trade is huge. Far more, most likely far more than the recorded trade. So it is not good for the economy when we have such unrecorded good happening because of criminalities and all manner of smuggling. So we must look at the security aspect, and we must look at the economic aspect and the political will, which is the most important thing. The political will to drive whatever agreement is reached or signed, because that is the only way we can harness our vast potential and stop calling it potential, but turn it into our reality. We cannot continue to talk about potential forever. Most of these countries have been independent for over 60 years. So we should go beyond potential to real stuff, so that we can benefit as countries and as a region, so that if the region is fully integrated, you cannot look beyond just West African region. You cannot begin to look at the OAU, just like the EU has been fully integrated.
All right, then, Ayobami Oyalo, a political and development economist, thank you for speaking to us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.
The third edition of the EU African SME Summit 2025 is currently underway in Johannesburg, South Africa. This year's summit is focused on scaling Africa's sustainable future, leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area and the European Union's Global Gateway Strategy. Now, the two-day event has brought together over 300 entrepreneurs. Our South Africa correspondent, Innocent Semosa, has more.
Organized by European entrepreneurs in collaboration with the EU African SME Alliance, those behind the summit says it aims to promote sustainable development, unlocking new trade opportunities and strengthening business collaboration between Africa and Europe. Delegates at the gathering says small and medium enterprises across Africa must strategically position themselves to fully harness the benefits presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area.
So I think it's all about visibility. So an event like this makes sure that anyone from any place that comes to this event actually can physically meet, greet, talk to people they would otherwise have no access to whatsoever. And that's innovators, it's investors, it's funders for collaboration, which often brings finance also.
I think Africa's definitely making progress. Even in the 3 years that we've been working with Africa, we started in, I want to say, Zambia, where we worked with an insurance company in Africa to try and help them with their needs, and they were in a very different situation than they're in now.
And this is exactly the kind of shift many young people hope to see, an entrepreneurial system that works for them.
I think young people have the ability to change a lot of things if they come together. I think there's a lot of division with the youth. The youth are divided in class and status, and as well as in business sectors.
Still, others point out that young entrepreneurs and SMEs continue to face tough challenges, from access to finance to navigating complex regulatory environments.
I think generally it's a very tough time for young people in business. Just generally entering the job market itself is quite a challenge. We're still dealing with a very high unemployment rate. And when young people decide to take it upon themselves to create businesses of their own, especially when opportunities aren't being provided for them, there's still the issue of lack of empowerment.
As conversations continue at the summit, one message is clear. Africa's young entrepreneurs are ready to lead, but they need support, partnerships, and policies that help them to thrive in a global marketplace. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Innocent Simosa, Channels Television News.
A group of Ghanaians are protesting what they describe as harassment, intimidation and repeated violations of their rights of their fellow citizens living in Nigeria by the Nigerian Police and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The Concerned Citizens for Economic Justice and Freedom protesters say there is need for diplomatic intervention to ensure that Ghanaian businesses are protected in Nigeria. The body is calling on President Bola Tinubu and Ghanaian President John Mahama to intervene as he condemns what he describes as targeted attacks on Ghanaian businesses operating in Nigeria. Oko Mensah, a lead developer for a housing project in Abuja, says Ghanaian businesses are being hounded with basic rights being breached by the police and EFCC. Oko Mensah joins us now on the program. He's a real estate professional and a Ghanaian businessman joining us from Minnesota. Thank you for your time on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Well, on Wednesday, a protest took place at the Nigerian High Commission in Accra, Ghana, where we saw demonstrators express concern over alleged harassment by the Nigerian police and the EFCC. Could you shed more light on the circumstances that led to this protest?
Yes, thank you very much once again. As you opened your program, I believe you talked about West Africa Economic Summit, and one of your panelists talked about, the ingredients that's going to make West Africa an economic bloc. And of course, one of the key things is the legal framework that exists in the country that will make investors feel safe. So this weekend, as you said previously, West African leaders are meeting in Abuja to discuss economic cooperation. So when you have situations where even among West Africans, we are unable to do business freely without the legal system and the police system being weaponized by few elements to, hound businessmen and take, in other words, expropriate their assets and criminalize them in the process. This does not serve as a good example to even support the agenda of Mr. President to attract the needed foreign direct investment into Nigeria. Now, what happened in Ghana over the weekend, which I also happened to stumble across just as you did, was Ghanaians reacting to what had been orchestrated in Nigeria, in Abuja specifically, spearheaded by certain elements in the Nigeria police, headed by the IGP monitoring team, Akin Fakorode, to attack our business and criminalizing the process. So this is what I believe spurred up the reaction that made those also good and well-meaning citizens of Ghana to bring their grievance to the Nigerian High Commission. Of course, I would preach that whatever is done in a peaceful and harmonious fashion. Ghana and Nigeria have a long-standing relationship, and indeed, we both countries are the beacon of hope and economic freedom for the West African sub-region. So I would appeal to my brothers in Ghana that nothing untoward should be done against any Nigerian citizen. Ghana and Nigeria are brothers and citizens, but we should drum home our point that economic freedom, economic independence, and the use of police force to harass citizens should be mitigated so that we can live and coexist peacefully as we have done to date.
And we understand that a lawsuit has been filed at the Federal High Court in Abuja, and that's against the Inspector General of Police of the Nigerian Police and the EFCC. Now, what is the current status of this case, and how have these agencies involved responded?
Well, as you can tell, I'm not in, I just had to leave Nigeria, obviously for partly security reasons, and also, like I said, being hounded by Akin Fakorede of the IGP monitoring team, who's weaponized his office to, for whatever reason, try to expropriate our assets. Now, the main issue is regarding our company ownership, which is being challenged by certain individuals, which the IGP set up a panel to review. Now, this panel completed their work in April 9th, where I participated in all the interviews and the exit meeting, where we were assured that the panel had concluded their work and it was being sent to the legal team for review. It's been 2 months. The Ghana High Commission has written for a certified true copy of the report. We have written 4 times, only for us to find out that Akin Fakorede is now doing his own report, trying to suppress the report that has been done by the panel. The Attorney General of the Federation has written through his DPP to the Inspector General of Police of Nigeria to send the panel, which was led by high-ranking officers of 11 officers who did the investigation, that send the panel report to the Attorney General's office for them to review it and also make their own determination on that. This report till to date has not been done. And Akin Fakorede had then sought to use other means to harass us by several invitations, which is what led us to decide to go to court to take action against him, to prevent him from further harassment against our rights, and also to stop him from weaponizing the police force to intimidate us. As I'm speaking to you right now, my estate, which is the River Park estate, is being overtaken by thugs who were arrested by Zone 7 unit of the police under the instruction of Fakorede. They were released yesterday, and this is verifiable information that you can verify with the Zone 7 division of the Abuja police. This does not bode well. I was harassed by EFCC Zone 2, led by Michael Wetcast, for obviously no reason. Yes.
I know there's a lot to unpack, and even with, the claims you have made, but I'm afraid we've run out of time, and we would definitely, get the other side to this story. You've mentioned some names, you've mentioned, your claims and all. We do apologize, but this is where we would have to end the conversation, but it still goes on. We would still continue to on this story, but the bottom line is, peace between Ghana and Nigeria. The bottom line is,
absolutely,
yes, a good relationship between both countries and the citizens for economic prosperity across the region. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mensah, the real estate professional, Oko Mensah. Thank you for your time on our program.
Thank you for having me.
We have to take a break now on the program. Still to come on Network Africa. On our Africa Tech segment, we're looking at how artificial intelligence has been employed in the e-commerce sector. We'll give you more details after the break. Please join us again. Welcome back to the program. A court in Nairobi has ordered the 15-day detention of 2 police officers accused of assaulting and shooting a street vendor during anti-police protests in the city center earlier this week. Senior Principal Magistrate Benchmark Ekubi has approved a joint request by prosecutors and the defense to remand officers Masinde Bazara and Duncan Kiprono at Capitol Hill Police Station, while the Independent Policing Oversight Authority continues its investigations. The 2 officers attached to Kileshwa Police Station were filmed attacking Boniface Kariuki during Tuesday's demonstrations. The street hawker remains in critical condition at Kenyatta National Hospital. Tuesday's protests were sparked by public outrage over the death of blogger Albert Ojwang in police custody and have since widened to calls for police accountability and the resignation of the Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat.
And we have agreed that instead of the 21 days requested for, the number of days be reduced to 15 days from today.
I can confirm that that is the position that we agreed. So the terms of the 15 days for the accused to be detained in Capitol Hill Police Station so that the prosecution can undertake their investigation.
So we'll adopt the compromise by the applicant's team, and also since it has been considered by the respondent, so the 2 respondents will be remanded at Capitol Hill Police Station for the period of 15 days.
So as a senior lawyer by then who was available in court, we were requested to act for the accused in the matter, jointly with some other advocates, because we were told that the advocates have been threatened. So in that case, every accused person or everybody has got a right to be represented in court. Accused were brought to court. However, the matter could not take off today because there was a consensus between ourselves and the prosecution, the DPP, whereby they had requested for more days to do investigations and that the accused be remanded or taken custody to Capitol Hill Police Station. So we agreed to that 15 days, and the matter could not take off. So we'll be coming to this court, or rather this matter will be mentioned on the 3rd of July 2025.
A court in Kenya has sentenced 2 men to 30 years in prison for aiding Al-Shabaab militants in a 2019 attack on a Nairobi luxury hotel complex. In January 2019, gunmen shot their way into the Dusit Hotel and office complex, killing 21 people in a siege that lasted 19 hours. All 5 of the militants died in the attack. Hussein Mohammed Ali and Mohammed Abdi Ali, both Kenyans, were convicted last month on charges of facilitation and conspiracy to commit a terrorist act. The judge said they had played a critical role by helping 2 of the attackers escape from a refugee camp using fake identity cards. They had also provided financial assistance to the group. Well, both men have denied the charges and now have 14 days to appeal their sentence. Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. Building an online store can be a challenge for many small SMEs, small business owners, but a Nigerian startup is using artificial intelligence to change that. Lexi AI is helping entrepreneurs create e-commerce websites with ease using smart tools that generate product descriptions, images, and more.
Meet Abiola Ogunjobi, co-founder and CEO of Lexia AI, a Nigerian startup using artificial intelligence to simplify how small businesses create online stores without the usual stress of product photoshoots or content creation. Their goal is to use AI to simplify digital business for the everyday Nigerian seller.
Because our target markets are MSMEs and people who already have 9-to-5 businesses are trying to sell things on the side, we want to ensure that we try as much as possible to give them the opportunity to excel in the market, right? Over the years, we've built e-commerce websites for people, for businesses, and for individuals. And we've noticed one very, very striking thing, the fact that they do not have the time or the budget to create product images or product descriptions for their products, right? We started using AI to do this for them. Lexia AI is using AI to generate product images and product descriptions, social media posts for businesses. Take, for example, you sell dresses, right? With Lexia AI, you can upload a dress on a white background onto our platform, and it will generate that dress on a model in different sizes that you have instructed the AI to generate. So it could generate it in a size 8, a size 10, a size 12, and a size 14. You don't have to have different sizes of those dresses, take multiple photographs or multiple photo shoots of those dresses, have multiple models. We do all that for you at a go.
From AI-generated product descriptions to creating multiple product images in various sizes and on digital models, the startup is removing traditional bottlenecks for sellers who want to scale fast. What started as a software development company has now evolved into an AI-powered platform designed with local relevance in mind.
8 years ago, I started out a software development firm, right? We were building websites for people, for individuals and businesses. And one thing we discovered was the fact that every time we needed to build an e-commerce website, it came with the hassles of having to generate product or having to get product images from the clients, which they always, most times, didn't have. Product images from the clients, which they didn't know or they did not have. What are the variations, which they would not want to give you at the go, and they will tell you things like, oh, these things change all the time. How would you train us on how to use the website? And how would you train us on how to use the CMS and on whatnot? So over time, we started generating these product images for them using AI, right? And with AI, we'll generate product images and ask them, oh, how many sizes are of this cloth? Then we can use AI to generate it. And they loved it, right? We use AI to generate the product description. This cloth is 20% cotton. Should not be washed in a washing machine. Should not be ironed above so degree and all that. Then, when we had all this in line, and we had already built more than 100 websites, right, e-commerce websites, using this format, looked at said, okay, why don't we kick ourselves out of a job and build something instead that will take over this manual process of us having to generate these images every time that the user or rather that the customer now wants to update their website? Why don't we give them something that helps them do it themselves and they don't have to come back to us every time? And that's the reason why we decided to pivot and build Lexia AI.
Lexia AI doesn't just generate content, it localizes it.
And that's it on the program for today and for the week. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde. Have a lovely weekend.